So welcome to this episode of Menopause Conversations. I'm delighted to be able to introduce my guest to you. I've been trying to get this lady on video for some time, but she's very, very busy, and for good reason, because she is Elizabeth Carr Ellis. And for those of you who don't know Elizabeth, you may have seen the posters which are behind her on her screen there, because she is a menopause mentor, she's a guide, and she is actually the creator and co-founder of the Pausitivity Know Your Menopause campaign. So I'm absolutely thrilled. So the hashtag is hashtag Know Your Menopause campaign. So check in with Elizabeth, but today's interview is going to be to find out more about the lady behind the campaign, because this is the campaign that has reached the heights of government. It's been talked about by MPs, and that's actually where I first got to see the poster, which I've got a copy of here. So the Menopause Positivity. So Elizabeth, welcome. It's lovely to see you today. Thank you so much for making time in your very, very busy schedule for me. Tell us all about Pausitivity and how it came to be something that you founded.
Pausitivity it's really a very much a grassroots spur of the moment campaign that started from. It began when a few of us were asked to be on Wake Up to the Menopause, and we connected on Twitter, the ones we'd been on, and so we started sharing our menopause story. And I'd been suffering symptoms for almost 4 years before I got the legendary hot flushes. And it was when I got the hot flushes that my husband was determined to try and fix me, because by this point I was refusing to go to the GP because I'd been back and forth so many times. And he was wanting to help. So he had a look online to see if there was natural remedies. And that's when he said, "Do you realize everything you've been through over the last 4 years has been menopause?" And I was like, "No, yeah, I'm not having a great menopause. I'm not having periods for months on end. It's brilliant. All the rest is just because my life's stressed." And he's like, "No, it's all menopause." And it's true. I had been going around saying to everybody, "Oh, menopause is fantastic, isn't it? I can wear what I want for some months. It's brilliant." And the truth is, I was having an absolutely dire one that was so bad that, I would go down to the Thames at lunchtime and think, why don't I just jump in and escape everything? And I thought that was because of my stress and at the time, and no, it was all to do with my hormones. So when he told me that, I went to the GP, and it was, this huge weight lifted, because I was like, right, now I know I'm not cracking up, I'm not crazy, I'm menopausal, I can get help. And he printed me out 4 sheets of paper and told me to go home and read them. Well, the 4 sheets of paper were everything that I'd read on the NHS website the night before. So I was like, well, I don't need to know this now. I told you I was menopausal. I know about this. I needed to know 4 years ago. So when I connected with these women on Twitter, I found out this was quite common. A few people had said, "Oh yeah, we had those 4 sheets of paper printed out as well." Um, and yes, it all went into the recycling. And I kept saying, why isn't there a poster or leaflets or something that could have been on display? And we would have known beforehand that menopause is not just irregular periods and hot flushes. And this kept becoming a regular thing with us. Why isn't there the information? Why isn't there the information? And one night I was at the GP's to talk about HRT. And when you get that menopause rage, I used to get the menopause rage big time, still get it every now and then. But yeah, I got that menopause rage, and I just thought, right, sod it. If the NHS won't give us a poster, I'm going to. And I had this really just like a vision of a viral campaign of people holding up menopause posters just to try and make some noise. So I went home and had a couple of glasses of wine with my husband, and I kept telling them, I love this idea. I think this idea could work. I think it's great. And after the second glass of wine, he went, "Oh, for God's sake, I'm fed up. Either do it or shut up. I don't want to hear anymore." So I did that thing you shouldn't do when you're on 2 glasses of wine. And I went on social media, got in touch with the women I've been talking to, and said, "I've just had this idea. What do you think? Is it good, or is this just estrogen making me high?" And they went, "No, actually, we think it's good." So then I was like, "Oh, right. Now I have to do something." And basically, that was it. It began from that night. If they hadn't been online and said, "Yeah, actually, we think it's a good idea," it might never have happened. It was as simple as that. I had I worked in newspapers in Scotland, and I knew a good friend would do this amazing design, because she's a brilliant graphic designer, Alison Shields. And I got in touch with her, and she came up with a outline draft a couple of weeks later. And sorry, Ali, but I actually went on the internet to make sure she hadn't stolen it from anywhere, because I thought, oh, she's got the wrong idea. She's just used another poster instead, because this is so lovely and it's exactly what we need. And obviously she hadn't, because yes, Ali is that good.
Yeah.
That she gave us a professional poster straight away. Yeah, it was my fellow co-founder Claire who came up with the symptoms. She says, if we wanted to be in NHS changing rooms, we needed to appeal to the GPs. We needed to have it in nice guidelines to follow all of that. So she came up with the wording for it, and Ali came up with the design, and I just came up with a glass of wine to celebrate, really.
But that's so powerful, isn't it? Because actually, I mean, us ladies, we probably do go to the wine during the perimenopause, menopause years, because actually everything else is a bit rubbish at that time. But like you say, maybe it did give you a bit of gusto, because the anxiety can cripple you, can't it? In terms of just thinking, oh, well, no one's going to go for this. And so thank goodness that all came together in that way, because the graphics are absolutely fantastic. I mean, just like when you look at the quality of them, and this is looking at the symptoms here, and it is absolutely brilliant. So pausitivity.co.uk, everybody, take a much closer look yourself. But I mean, it's absolutely staggering when you look at it like this. I mean, because you're so right, Elizabeth. I went to my GP surgery last week. I don't go, because actually I just get infuriated. What I've done instead is I've contacted my MP, because I've had enough of no menopause clinics in Devon or Cornwall, 2 counties in the UK. It's horrific. So you're absolutely right. So I intend to take your posters and stick them up myself, because actually that's what it's going to take, isn't it? So this community of women, how fantastic is that actually all coming together, all supporting. And I noticed when I looked at the work that you're doing, so that you've actually had these translated into other languages as well. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, it was that began, and we had Eunice in Wales get in touch with us, and their organizer Darren Dupree is a huge menopause warrior, and he says, we'd love to be able to send these out in Wales, but you need a Welsh version as well, because it's a bilingual country, which, sorry, English privilege here, I hadn't realized that. But Spain is because I used to live in Spain, and Spain is a multilingual country. But yeah, Wales is a bilingual country. So he says, can we help you get it translated? So that's when it suddenly picked up, and we were like, oh wow, this is getting noticed, because this was only about 6 weeks after we launched with our first selfies holding the poster, which was the original idea. And so when we got it in Wales, that meant through Darren, and through Darren with an E-O-N and Darren with an O-N, through the other Darren, who works with North Wales, let me get this right, Shared Services Partnership. He was able to then send them out to every GP in Wales. So by the end of 6 months, we had our posters sent out to every GP in Wales, which was amazing. And that was from the Welsh one. And then we had a request to do one in Urdu. And we got in touch with the brilliant Dr. Nigat Arif and asked her if she would mind translating it. And that was a labor of love for the two of them, for Nigat and for our designer, for Ali, because there is no word in Urdu for menopause. There are various different words that mean, like barren or end of bleeding, those sort of things, but there's no one word, which is a huge eye opener, because we were like, that was when I first realized all the social differences, the cultural differences around menopause, and how difficult it is. So yeah, her and Ali worked really, really hard, and it's here. I've got it the right way. Yeah. Because it is still one of my favorites. I just think it looks beautiful. It looks lovely. And then we just got requests for other languages. We had an MSP in Scotland helped us to do the Scottish Gaelic one. And we had people just write to us saying, we would love it in this language. Can we translate it? So yeah, German, French, Dutch, and we have a couple of other languages on the way. one of which Ollie knows about, and the others she doesn't, because that tends to be the way we work.
Okay. And it is such a brilliant poster because it's so, it catches your attention and it helps you connect some of those dots. Whenever I talk about menopause, I talk about connecting the dots, and the hot flushes, the headaches, the mood swings, those palpitations, tiredness, pain in your joints, they don't all come together. They'll come at different periods and they'll wax and wane. And so it's absolutely right. And I have Sri Lankan heritage and Irish heritage in me, and I know that certainly culturally, it's a very celebrated moment when a girl gets her periods. But it isn't, I don't believe, so celebrated when you stop your periods. And I think you're so right. I think we underestimate the cultural stigma, the cultural differences, the disparities, actually, in terms of, the financial services available to various communities, and so this is a wonderful campaign. So who helped you, because I see that it says actually in terms of the symptoms you had more than 850 peri and postmenopausal women. I mean, tell us a bit about that.
That was towards the end of our first few months, and we wanted to get other women's experiences of menopause and how they found out, so we could have a figure to say, so that we could have some data to say, look, women are shouting out for this. And we had 97% of the people who did our survey said they wanted posters in the NHS office. So yeah, we set up a survey, to try and get women's experiences, and we were stunned when we got over 850 responses. It was incredible, because we are just we're a small grassroots organization, because of work and various other things. It's now just me and Claire, and we have no funding, we have no official backing. It's just me and her, and we both have jobs to do as well. This is my lunch hour, which is I'm working from home. So I've had a stressful morning, no makeup on and nothing, because nobody at work's going to see me. Which is okay, because I accidentally hit the button the other day and I had my curlers in. So can't be as bad as that.
I love it.
But so we are just such a small group that when we got over 850 responses, and the vast majority were all saying the same thing. Before they started menopause, they knew about the hot flushes, they knew about night sweats, they knew about irregular periods, but they didn't know about the psychological symptoms. They were much lower down. But it was the psychological symptoms. It was things like lack of sleep and the depression and the anxiety and the mood swings that took them to their GP. But it wasn't those things that got the diagnosis, whether that was the GP or themselves. We use diagnosis just because it's an easy all-round word. But it's not an illness. You don't get diagnosed as such. But yeah, it was hot flushes, like it was with me, that got the attention that, oh, what you're going through is menopause. It was the hot flushes, the night sweats, and the irregular periods. So these women had been going to the GP on and off for years, some of them for over 4 years. It was shocking how many, more than half had been going to the GP for more than 12 months. Now, if you think how much that's costing the NHS, whereas if they had a poster or leaflets that they could look at while they were waiting, that they'd grown up with as well,
Yes,
then they would know that menopause was just more than hot flushes, which is, our second catchline. It's more than hot flushes. And they could have put the dots together.
Yeah, and you're so right. I mean, my sister has very kindly done a video for me, which I'm going to be putting out this week, actually. My sister had endometriosis, and on average it takes 8 years to get a diagnosis of endometriosis. It's the second highest condition for women to present with after fibroids, and yet it's, again, that then ultimately for many women leads to a surgical menopause, because you have to have your womb and your ovaries taken out. And so yes, you're absolutely right. We need to teach women, girls, about the passage of time, their relationship with menstruation, their relationship with their hormones, and absolutely, so that they become more informed. Definitely. I'm really curious to go back a few steps in our conversation, if I can, because this is something that really fascinates me. you said your husband actually connected the dots for you on your behalf. How amazing and brilliant, because actually he's the role model, really, isn't he, for the rest of us?
Yeah.
So what was it about your
Please
husband?
don't
And
tell him that.
oh, okay, it's probably like a
Keep
chance
that
of him seeing
quiet.
this, is
Yeah,
it?
keep
Yeah.
that quiet.
I wish I could edit bits out, but I can't. So we'll just have to, you just have to fast forward. But really and truly, I mean, I'm very, very lucky too. My husband, I remember him about 3 years ago going, you're going to need to listen to this Radio 4 Women's Hour program about menopause. I'll listen to it with you. I mean, that's what we need. We need definitely more of that. So what was it about your husband, and what was it he was drawing on at that time? Because obviously the Pausitivity campaign wasn't up and running, but you know, what was it about him, and what does it need to be for men, would you say, going forward?
Well, we've had a lot of men. I mean, you know, two of our warriors are the two Darrens, who have been amazing. And when we've done stuff with Parliament, there's been a lot of male MPs as well who all want to help, because they have, you know, everybody has a mother. So therefore, you know, somebody who is going through or has gone through the menopause. And so, yeah, he was looking, as I said, it was because I had hot flushes, and he wanted to try and help me with something natural, because, you know, I hate the word hot flush. I hate flush, because flush is delicate and light. You imagine women with a little fan, you know, and it's not. It's a nuclear explosion that just drains. You know, I would be walking along, get a hot flush, and I just had to stop, because suddenly I had no energy at all. I couldn't move. And after the third time of doing this in the supermarket, he'd had enough. He was like, that's it. There must be something you can take. So he was looking for natural remedies, and it was just that he got hit on a website, and that's when he started reading and researching. You know, when you just start clicking
Yeah,
around,
yeah,
and that's
click,
how he
click,
ended up.
click.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he ended up on the NHS website to do it. And I've since had a few people who said to me, yeah, it was my husband as well who was doing something similar. And,
Fabulous.
you know, or they said something and they went, hang on a minute, my mum used to complain about that as well when she was about your age. So there are a lot. When we went to Parliament, we went to Parliament just before lockdown to launch our campaign officially there. And it was brilliant. We were so lucky. We had Carolyn Harris, who has been fantastic. I mean, she's just a goddess. Helping us. And we had Trisha Goddard came along, and Michelle Heaton came along, and it was brilliant. But I had a huge 4.5 foot version of the poster to take with us. Um, and I was carrying it along with smaller versions as well, all the leaflets we had. And I was on the train because I live in Canterbury, so I was traveling up to London. And the guardsman came along, the conductor, to inspect my ticket, and he looked at this huge 4 foot poster opposite me and sort of give a little smile, you know, a little hat. And I thought, oh, typical man.
Yeah.
I walked away. And then once he'd finished doing his rounds, he came back and he says, you know, do you mind if I sit down and have a chat to you? And I was like, yeah, okay. And he says, yeah, he says, my wife's got several of those symptoms, and she's about, you know, she's in her late 40s. Do you think it could be menopause she's going through? And he was very concerned, and he just wanted to help his wife. So yeah, there's a lot of men out there who want to help the females in their family, definitely.
Yeah, it's so important. I don't know if you know Lee Chambers. Lee Chambers is really passionate about menopause and talks about male privilege, and you know that actually we need to, because men won't experience anything like what women experience when in that relationship with their hormones. It's incredibly detailed for us, isn't it? Whereas for guys it isn't. And I think it genuinely is going to be a case where people suddenly go, the woman in my life is suffering, I need to be doing something about it. And this is absolutely brilliant. So what's the response been like in the workplace, would you say, to the Pausitivity campaign? Or are you very much approaching it from a grassroots in terms of people coming in the surgeries, empowering them? Tell me more about the workplace.
That is our aim, is to have it in the end with GPs offices, or well, personally I think it should be in every women's health centre around there, because I had to go to the gynae at a hospital next to me, and the only things they had up were for childbirth, pregnancy, and then afterwards breastfeeding problems. Now, I've never had children, so none of that spoke to me. And I know there's several women who go in because they can't have children, they have infertility problems. So I just think that must be appalling to them, 1 in 100 go through, it's 100, 1 in 1,000, sorry, go through menopause under the age of 40. And they'll be sitting there looking at all of these posters for things that they can't do. So I think it should be everywhere. But workplaces have been fantastic because it is such an easy poster to put up, and we get messages all the time going, oh yeah, it's up in my work slew. It's up in all of mine now, on my work's office,
Fabulous.
and downstairs where we have the microwave, so we can nuke our lunch. As a copy on display there as well. But yeah, we've had loads. It's up at the Channel 5 News studios. They have it up. There's a whole load. Citizens Advice Bureaus have put them up. So many different ones. DEFRA, police forces. Yeah, it's been incredible because it's a talking point. There are 34 symptoms. I saw the other day somebody trying to make out 48, and I'm just like, no, let's just stick with the 34, I think it is, or 38 we have now. Let's stick with that. And we can't put them all up, but it's to give that talking point. It's to raise awareness, as I said, that menopause is just more than hot flushes.
Yeah,
It's a wide
absolutely.
range of different symptoms.
Absolutely, because I do roll my eyes, quite honestly, when I hear hot flushes mentioned, because it wasn't something, the most debilitating symptoms for me. I mean, I became perimenopausal at 36. Literally just a very short time after having my daughter. For me, it was the feeling like my teeth were going to fall out. It was my burning gums, the burning mouth, my hair falling out, the palpitations, thinking I think I'm going to actually have a heart attack. My dad had a heart attack, and my cholesterol was off the charts, and it was all of those things. And in the end, quite sadly, I had to take myself to a sexually transmitted infection clinic, because I'd worked out that's the only way I'm going to get my hormones checked. I sort of, but I was sat there for hours waiting. And you're absolutely right. I think if I'd have seen a poster on the wall, I'd have stopped convincing myself that my 13th, urinary tract infection was a problem with my urinary tract system. I'd have thought, no, actually, that poster's telling me something else. And but that is still what women are going through, certainly in Devon and Cornwall, because we don't have access to that. And, I think sometimes GP surgeries quite like their notice boards to stay nice and crisp and clean and without information on them. So the fact that you're online as well is brilliant. I've put your resource on my resources because I think that's the way to get this message across. I think the Pausitivity campaign is absolutely brilliant. So I saw actually, for anyone who's going to be watching that actually the government are having another session, aren't they, on Wednesday this week at 2:30, which you can catch up on Parliament TV, which is talking about menopause in the workplace. So what's the future for the Pausitivity campaign? What are your aspirations in the next 3 to 5 years?
You just a bit of a secret at the minute because we're working on something. That's going to take a bit of time to develop.
Okay.
But hopefully by September, October, we're hopefully going to do something that's going to make a big change and a big difference, because we're very aware of how one-sided this conversation is. There is a huge bubble around menopause talk, and because I meet people like you on LinkedIn, and I've got my little Twitter tribe and my Instagram tribe, and you think, oh, everybody's talking about it, but there's a lot of people who don't have access to those, or just aren't interested in finding out about it. So yeah, we're busy working on a scheme with a few people in the Northeast, which is where I'm originally from, to do something a bit more and a bit exciting. So yeah, it's a work in progress. So watch this space, because it should be good. It should be good. Yeah.
Brilliant. So there's more to come. There's more to come with the Pausitivity campaign. That's brilliant. And how about for you? Are you well going through your menopause?
Finally, yes. I was just replying to somebody on my website, which is 50cents.net, by the way. Just a quick plug. Yeah, I was somebody was asking, I'd just written about how I'd had the Marina coil fitted to give me my progesterone, and I had that done in September, and she says, how's it going now? And I was like, you know what? I feel okay. I don't feel great. I'm not jumping for joy, but I'm not crying and corners anymore. I'm not, bursting into tears at the shower. My life is quite even and decent, and but that's taken almost 4 years of trying to find the right HRT, and a year and a half was lost because of COVID. I
Yes.
understand that, but I think that's an important message to get out. HRT can take a long while to find the right one for you.
Thank
It's
you for
not
thank you
the
for saying that. It's not the magic bullet, is it?
No, no. I wish it was. I wish it was. And I get a bit annoyed that there's this such a huge emphasis on HRT because it's not for everybody. And it doesn't suit everybody, and not everybody wants it. And I think it's quite misleading to make everybody think they have to have HRT. It has helped me loads, and it would be my first port of call to anybody would be to say, go and look at HRT, go talk to your GP and look at HRT. But because I've had such a hard time, I've had to look at other lifestyle ways as well around it. And that's it, because yes, HRT can help support your bones, but if I don't have good balance, then I'm still going to fall over, and I'm going to get scared of falling over. I might break a bone with it because of the HRT, but I don't really want to fall over when I get older because my balance is bad. So, I'm at the gym and I'm working on my strength and my training, and it's not going to help me with the muscle weakness that goes up. It might delay it a little bit or help a little bit, but I've still got to look after myself and eat well and be as good and as healthy as I can.
I think that's such a
So I
powerful
think there
message,
needs to be a little bit of a
Elizabeth.
message.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Are you progesterone sensitive at all?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
that's
I was told I probably had suffered with PMDD throughout my life, which, to find that out when you're menopausal is just like, great, 30 years have gone through hell every month. And I finally get told that when I meet people who understand hormones properly. So yeah, that was one of the reasons I was going to the GP and saying, I've noticed every 2 weeks when I'm on the progesterone, I feel bad. And they would say, oh, I'll try you on a different HRT. But I'd go, but it's just the same form. It's just a different name. That's all. It's still a patch that's given me every these 2 weeks. And when I eventually did manage to get a doctor to listen to me and say, and tell them I want estrogel and I want progesterone, I had to talk her through it. And bless her, she was young and she was very open, and she said, I've never prescribed this before, so you're going to have to bear with me because I need to look everything up. But I'm willing to learn. And I was like, fantastic.
right.
That's wonderful. That's what we want from our GPs, We're not, it's very easy to be disparaging about our GPs, but they have a hell of a hard job and they can't be experts in everything. And yes, we need them to have better understanding of menopause. But when you only have 10 minutes, they don't have time to look back over 4 years worth of history, which for me was what it was.
And you're absolutely right. And in my other role as a menopause coach, that's what I encourage women to do. You'll never regret keeping notes or diaries of your situation. You'll never regret that. That will never have been wasted time, because you will be able to talk about those themes. Always book a double appointment, ladies, because that way you're signposting to your GP there's actually something else more pressing coming. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I interviewed a lady on my series about PMDD and her daughter, and it was just heartbreaking. Do you know Kate Duffy at all, who made the I'm interviewing Kate and her daughter Holly to talk about PMDD as part of this series. So because I think you're right. I mean, I definitely was progesterone sensitive. And like you, I'm starting to think, quite quickly, I'm sort of joining the dots going, I think I've had that, which is why I have to be very careful how I take my progesterone. So I have to take half a dose, and I take that vaginally rather than orally, because if it floods my system, it's not great for me. I need a little bit, but I don't need as much. And I think that's the whole thing about HRT. So employers watching this video, if you're going to give people time out to go to their GP, what you need to understand is it takes time. It takes time for the system to respond, because the system, your natural system, will fight against it, and then it levels out, and then what the true effect is. So I think we need to appreciate women aren't going to just suddenly be okay because they had a bit of time out from work to go and get their HRT. But you're absolutely right as well. The alternative ways of looking after ourselves are equally important. You know, if we're drinking too much wine, that's also causing histamine problems or overdosing our estrogen. So I think your campaign helps to bring it all together. And I definitely felt, as I was navigating this, the more information I could put my hands on, actually the more reassuring it was. Do you agree? Do you feel that that's the feedback you're getting?
Absolutely. When I first heard, realized that all my symptoms were menopausal, I just felt great straight away. I suddenly felt lighter. It was like I have a name now. I
Yeah.
know why I'm not feeling good all the time. And whenever I had those dark times, and I still had a few very dark times afterwards, I was able to talk myself out of them almost, because I could then, like, I had a real meltdown at work, and thankfully 3 wonderful women helped literally save me. Um, and with one of them, she was like, "Is this your hormones?" And I was like, "Yes, it's my hormones." And she's like, "Tell me about it." So because I was able to tell her about it, I was then able to reconcile everything in my mind with, like, this is your hormones. This is not you. This is not you being a horrible person. This is just your hormones telling you that. So once you have all that power, then yeah, and it's power. Once you know what your body is doing, you can take action over it. And you will still go through bad times, or you might still go through bad times, but you have that arsenal behind you to help shore it up. It's like building a little fortress that you can retreat to and say, yeah, this is my hormones. I need to spend a little day just looking after myself a bit more, being kinder to myself, and then tomorrow I'll feel better. But if
Yeah.
you don't know it's your hormones, you can't do that.
No, because then you just get into a cycle of negative thinking, anxiety, depression, all of those things, don't you? And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. So that's, I mean, it's just, you speak so clearly about it, which is just sings through your campaign. So tell us. By the way, you've got a YouTube channel. I saw a post you did today about you were reviewing menopause books, which was
I was
fabulous.
looking at my 5 favorite menopause books, and these truly are my favorite menopause books, because I've read a lot.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of them, yeah. And these ones I chose. If anybody wants, it's 50 cents. If you
Yeah.
search for 50 cents, my name here, you can find me. I've just started to be nice and be gentle, and any constructive criticism, please. That would be lovely. And yeah, these are my favorite books. They're a wide range. They range from Meg Matthews, and I never thought I would recommend a Meg Matthews book.
No.
And I was lucky enough to interview her last year, the year before, and she's brilliant, and her book is brilliant. It's just, I hate to say fun, but it's fun.
Yeah,
It's
but
a
why shouldn't the menopause be fun? Because it
yeah.
definitely has had a rap, hasn't it? It's definitely had a
Mhm.
tagline of dour, we've been stereotyped. Actually, I think it is fun. I think if you get the help soon enough and can help yourself, it is fun. They're the best years of your life, really and
Yeah.
truly, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's what these books are saying, though. Like, get the help you need, and then, my God, your life's going to be fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah, I like
and
Meg
so many
Matthews too.
women tell me this. Yeah,
Well, this is it. I like Meg too, because and for anyone who follows her on Instagram, she does great Instagram. She says it how it is,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
And we need people like that. And thank goodness that social media. I'm part of British Menopause Society, and they've even documented the power of social media and good information. And thankfully got doctors like Dr. Nigar Arif. We've got the Dr. Menopause Care, people like Lisa Snowdon, so many people, Davina McCall, and yourself,
yeah.
all
Mhm.
talking about this. So it's absolutely brilliant. So
I
before we
got a
finish,
cuddle off Davina.
did you? Oh yes, I think I've seen it in a picture
I
in one of the
highlighted
photos.
my leg. No, I didn't get any photographs of
Did
it,
you?
because I was too busy going, Davina's given me a cuddle. Yeah,
Don't
it was
won't
one of the
wash your
best
top.
moments of my life. She was just, she was lovely. And I was like, I'm getting a cuddle off Davina. I talked absolute rubbish to her, so my apologies, Davina. Yeah,
I'm sure she wouldn't mind. I'm sure she wouldn't mind. But that's the thing, isn't it? You can't dumb down. You can't turn down the noise on it, and that's brilliant. So as our interview comes to a close, what's your hope for the future in terms of menopause? What's your hope for the future?
that everyone knows your menopause, that it becomes as commonplace and accepted as puberty is for children, for young people, because it's just puberty in reverse. And I'm certainly letting my inner child out a lot more now. I feel free of all of that. You must be this and you must be that. I'm enjoying life a lot more, which I do think is your inner child gets that chance to come back out and play. But yeah, it's for people to understand and to not be judgmental about something we can't help. You know, we've done it with periods, we've done it with puberty, now it's time to do it with menopause. So yeah, know your menopause.
Oh, brilliant. What a perfect way to finish our chat today. And how can people be in touch with you, Elizabeth? People who want to connect with you or follow you or see your work.
I'm best, I'm always on Twitter. You can always get me on Twitter at 50 Cents. I have my blog, 50cents.net, which celebrates women. It talks about menopause, talks about my menopause. I break down all the jargon because it can get so complicated with FSH and lutein hormonizing and this, that, and the other. So I break down all the jargon and do easy to read, easy to understand menopause, 50 Cents. And of course, we are at pausitivity.co.uk to get our poster and the support pack as well, where you can get a symptoms tracker to print out.
Yes, which I have printed off, and that is absolutely fabulous. So you can literally complete this and take it to your GP, so you don't have to go for an appointment and then your GP says go away and keep an eye on your symptoms. It's like, no, actually I've done that for you. You know, so get busy, ladies. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time today, and I so appreciate it. I know what a busy morning you've had. I wish you the absolute continued best of success with the Pausitivity campaign. It's brilliant. I'm so glad we were able to have this conversation. So from me to you, thank you very much for taking the time out today.
Thank you for asking me.
You're welcome.